In this tutorial, we're going to learn how we can massively increase the speed of our Laravel application. And in order to do that, I have just created this simple welcome page, which only loads 30 of the shops from the database. Now, looking at it, it's very simple. It's just 30 shops. And if someone visits the homepage of the website, actually they are forwarded to the welcome method of the pages controller, like so. And in here, we have just this very elegant looking Laravel syntax where we are getting the latest shops, and we get the latest shops, and we limit only 30 so that we can just display 30 shops. And then we take the data. Actually, we pass it to a welcome view, which is actually a view page, and we are using Inertia to actually bridge our PHP code with the view code. Looking at the view code here, welcome.view here, welcome.view here, we have this welcome search, which is a view component. And in the welcome search here, what we are doing, by the way, we are looping. We are using our loop here to loop. We are actually accessing the shops directory from the page props, and then we loop at the shops, and then we display the details. And we make sure that it's a link so that one can click. Actually, here someone can click on this link to go to the particular shop. Now, if you look at it, it looks very convincing that it's a good way to do it. But just because everyone is doing this, it doesn't mean it is the right. Way to do it. And there are performance issues with this kind of code. In order to know like how bad this approach is, we need to create a baseline. We need to find a way to measure the current performance, because a wise man once said, you cannot scale what you cannot measure. You need to measure, then after measuring, you can scale, because you will know the baseline. In order to understand like the baseline, the current performance, we can use the tool called Laravel Debugbar. Laravel Debugbar is a tool that we can find on Google. You can just go to Google. Now go ahead and type in Laravel Debugbar, hit enter, and the first result should be Laravel Debugbar, a GitHub repository by Barry VDH. If you click on this link, you will be taken to this Laravel Debugbar, a GitHub repository. And in here, if you scroll all the way to the installation section here, you can copy this command, and this command you can use it on your project to install the Debugbar. Now, if you bring up your terminal and you paste the code, hit enter, and that should start the installation process. And after doing the installation, actually Laravel uses the auto discovery. And this package also supports auto discovery, so we don't have to do anything else. We just have to make sure that app debug in our .env has been set to true. Now, if we look at our .env file, I have app debug key set to false, and that actually, if you refresh, you'll see nothing on this area here. But if I change false to true and hit save, go back to the page and hit reload, you will see there is something here starting to show. If you click on this debugbar icon, then it will expand, and let us actually bring it up a little bit, and then like so. Now, there are many information here on the page. As you can see, we have messages, timeline, exceptions, views, route, queries, models. We have our memory here, and we have our time here. Actually, there are 4 things which are of our interest: the number of queries executed, the number of models touched, the memory usage, and also the request duration. This is actually the time elapsed when the queries were executed, so the duration of each query. Okay, now let us record the current situation. Now here we have 333 queries executed. I have prepared this start, so I'm going to write 333 here. We have also 210 models, and the memory usage is roughly around 6 megabyte, sometimes 10, sometimes 6. Yeah, so let's say 6 megabyte. And the number of duration here, if you reload, sometimes 600, sometimes 500, 700. So it's around 600. So generally, I'm going to write 600. milliseconds. Okay, and the memory is just 6. Yeah. Now, in order to optimize this, we have to look at the controller. If we look at the controller, the pages controller, we can see that we are using the model, the shop model, and we are actually getting everything. And we just make sure that we order by latest. And if you see here, we are limiting down the result to 3. Now, if we go back to the page and inspect the result that has been brought to us, because this page has been written in Vue, I will be using the Vue dev tool here, and I will go to the front layout, which has got the properties that has been passed. You can see here we have 30 shops. If I look at these 30 shops, if I click one of them, I will see that I am getting a lot of details than I need. You see, I'm getting a lot of details than I need. You can see I have almost 20 attributes plus the relationships. I can see I have a user field here, which also has got an address. You can see there are many unnecessary information being pulled. But you can ask, why are those information being pulled while I'm just looking at the shop? Actually, what it does is it goes down to the model, and you can see here we have the protected append, which appends a bunch of information, nearly 15 of them, and it also attaches the location relationship, which actually it's not something that we need on this page. You can see. Now, the best way I recommend to approach the art of speeding up this code is to create a separate model that is almost the same with the existing model. You can have 2 models pointing to the same database. You can use the 2 models wherever necessary. Actually, a good example of this would be Facebook. They have a Facebook and a Facebook Lite, So a Facebook and a Facebook Lite, which has got the simplified features. Now I'm going to create a shop Lite. I'm going to call it Lite Shop, like so. Lite Shop. In this Lite Shop.php, actually I'm going to write in the minimum requirement required to display this UI. If you can look at this UI carefully, you will only see that I need to have a featured image, I need to have a shop name, and also I need to have an ID so that the link can work, because I need the ID to navigate to actually the shop itself. Now that I know what is needed, I need an ID, I need a name, and a featured image. So I'm going to create the class here called Lite Shop. It extends model, which comes from Illuminate, and actually like so. Now if I go back to the shop implements has media, which actually takes care of the featured images. Now I'm going to automatic import. I'm going to import has media, and importing has media, there are some traits that has to be used. You can copy, and I'm going to copy them here, and actually I will paste it here. And then after that, I'll have to import them now. Interacts with media, has slug, has creator, review writable, trait, has media, has address, like so. And now this has slug actually requires us to implement something else. We need to implement the slug option. So I'm going to find the slug options, this method on the shop, and I'm going to copy it over to the newly Lite Shop. And in here I will import the slug options like so, and then we are good. So this actually is very specific to my example. Yours might be different. Now that I have this minimal requirement for the Lite Shop, for it to be able to work with the current implementation of the project, I will go back to the pages controller and I will comment this line here. And now I will actually duplicate this one here, and instead of using shop and getting the latest like so, I will actually use Lite Shop, and I'm going to import that. Now Lite Shop has been imported. Now I will get the latest shops by using the Lite model, and I will limit them by 30. Now, after saving, let's go back and hit reload as the first approach for us to look at the way to optimize. Now, if I reload, we have something, we have an issue here, class light shop not found. Actually, I think that is because we do not have the namespace here. Okay, so I'm going to generate the namespace. Generate namespace for this file by right-clicking. You can actually just write it down like so. That should work too. And I'm going to reload. Light shop not found. Okay. So it looks like we still don't have light shop. I think when we were importing it, we just imported light shop. Now we have to re-import it using that namespace. I'm going to re-import it, and now we should have light shop under shop. Yes, that's good. Now let's go ahead and reload. Now the base table light shop does not exist. This is actually because of Laravel conversions. The lowercase plural of the name of the class will always be translated to the name of the table. Now we have to indicate that the table name is something else. It is shops, like so. Now by doing that, if we reload, we should have our page. But right now we have only 2 queries, and you have 30 models attached. We have 2 megabytes out of 6. We have 65. But this has somehow broken our code, because you can see here we do not see the featured images, and that is because we do not have, in our light shop, we do not have we do not have the getter which gets the image from the relationship, because the has media provides a relationship, and that relationship actually is the one that has got the featured image. I'm going to hit Control Find featured, and it's right here, get featured image attribute. I'm going to copy this like so, and inside the light shop I will paste it like so. Now, pasting it like this, many of you guys would prefer to go with protected $appends, and you have yourself an array here, and you have featured image like so. Featured image. Doing this has got its own trade-offs. If you reload, you can see we have 32 queries, and if you can actually examine the queries by clicking on the query here. Let me just expand this a little bit. If you look at this, you can see that we are executing the same query we are selecting everything from media. We are actually doing this for all the 30 shops we are pulling in from the database. This is not a good way of doing things. And actually, someone on my previous video, it was the video about what you didn't know about the append method, actually argued that why don't we just use the protected appends like this on the model? And actually, this is a video that can actually show the setbacks, the drawbacks of using the $appends on the model itself. If this appended value actually is a value which comes from from another model, because if you do this on the model level, as you can see, we are doing the appends on the model level. It means that this will be executed for every model, and because this featured image actually gets first media, which behind the scenes it queries the media, it executes a query to go to the database to get the media. We are adding one query to every model that we are actually returning. In order to avoid this, we have to use another method, and I'm going to actually delete that one, to delete that protected appends right there. And in the pages controller, after I get, now here we are getting the latest, and we are limiting them to 20. After I get the models, I will now append the featured image. By doing this, I am actually executing the append method after I get the shops. Actually, this is not different. If I reload, you can see we still have the set2 queries executed. But with this approach, we can manually load the relationship which the featured image relies on, and that's called media. This relationship, by loading it here while we are querying the shop, the append method will be called on the result loaded, it won't execute another query to the database. By doing so, if I refresh, you can see now from 32 queries, we have 3 queries. If we just go back and quickly record our results in our statistics here, we have now 32 queries. We have 30 models. The memory is now 3. And the time elapsed is now 91. And if we bring back if we bring back our media like so and reload, we now have 3 queries. We now have 3 queries like so, and the models, we have 30 models. Of course, we need 30 models. That is exactly what we need. And the memory usage is down to 2 megabytes, and the time execution is around 64. So this is time elapsed in milliseconds, and this is memory usage in megabytes. Now you can see how far we have gone. Actually, it goes from 40, 70, 60. That's not bad, but the number of queries 3 and 30. The number of queries are 3 and the number of models are 30. If you look at the results, you will be shocked. Actually, I am shocked. From 333 queries down to 3 queries, that is a massive increase in performance. And actually, this can become very, very helpful when you launch your code in production mode. That is it for this video. And if you think we can still go much deeper to achieve more performance on this piece of code, I would love to see your comment in the comment section down below. And just because something has been used by many people, it doesn't mean that it is the right thing to do. So you go ahead and be a student, not a follower. So learn from people and learn from this video, and then make up your own mind, you know. And if you did find value in this tutorial, please make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss the next video. This is Laravel, and I will surely catch you on the next one. Bye.